I'm Ashokkumar Mistry. I'm an artist based in Leicester, and I'm also a member of the Onyx Collective. I'm a brown male almost in his 50s. My name is Ashokkumar Mistry, and I've created a provocation for the Onyx Content Takeover. It's entitled Araam, which means rest. Onyx is a collective of artists from Black, Asian, and dual heritage backgrounds who identify as being disabled, neurodivergent, crip, or living with a long-term illness. Onyx artists work with a range of different art forms, bringing a wealth of creative experience. Our mission is to assemble with the aim of creating and preserving space where our voices, ideas, and practices are centered to bring community and collaborate. Above all, Onyx artists believe in a practice of unapologetics, dialogue and long-sidedness, disagreement, learning from each other, nurturance, rest, and the potency of vulnerabilities. This takeover of Disability Arts Online has been created with the intention of showcasing the founding artists of Onyx and to join with other creatives who connect with the Onyx ethos and the theme of the takeover. Forming and launching the Onyx Collective to the world over the past year and a half has added to the grey of my hair. However, it has been well worth the effort. Onyx was formed during lockdown months of the COVID-19 pandemic and created a great deal of challenges for collaboration. All of the founding artists were working at different paces against different challenges on different sized workloads and in different geographic locations across Britain. Under these circumstances, it was difficult to coalesce around creative ideas or collaborate until lockdown restrictions had eased in early 2022. The highlight for me over the past year and a half has been meeting and getting to know many fantastic artists and learning of their different approaches within the collective. One thing that we discussed at length was the core mission of the collective and moreover what Onyx represents. Looking at the Onyx mission statement, one of the most striking words that describes us is unapologetics. That is to say, having the agency to do things our way and not apologizing for it. Understanding the idea of unapologetics is an intrinsic part of comprehending agency, especially when we consider that all of our intersecting characteristics that are used to discriminate against us are an inherent part of us. I can't change my background, my physiology, or my psychology, which may be classed as impairments. But I can stop apologizing for those aspects of me not living up to the ideas of people I come into contact with. Thusly, unapologetics brings us to the leitmotif of the takeover, which is Araam, which is thought to mean rest in Hindi and Urdu speaking world, but actually means so much more. Comfort, release, and ease are just some of the broader definitions of the word, and they all point to the underlying agency that the global majority and disabled artists seek, unless of course one can walk the walk and talk the talk. Araam will be full of contradictions, but the common thread will be an unapologetic manifestation of creativity. We will hear from many amazing, inspiring fellow Onyx Collective artists and also from a range of other artists, all of whom have a deep and at times difficult relationship with rest. Ru Disu, who recreates the memory of rest by engaging with people through the concept of Araam, Seva and Sangat, rest, selfless service and connecting with people. Anahita Harding, for whom performing stillness, which some would regard to be rest, brings an entirely new dimension to actually practicing rest. Christopher Samuel talks about creating a provocation, exploring discomfort in a place of rest. Ngozi Ugunchukwu talks about the creative battery as a perfectionist and how care becomes a strategy that translates into the finished work. Chisato Minamimura and Gold Maria Akambi discuss the contrasting ways rest feature within their performative practices. Melo Baku discusses rest across a multifarious career, straddling visual art and performance. Kyla Harris, also known as the bedroom activist, discusses the rest space becoming a creative space. Centered around their new film, Fountain, Alexandrina Hemsley created an inspiring reflective short film titled Soft Mess that challenges definitions and paradigms of rest. Aminda Verdi will create a podcast exploring rest as a radical act of resistance and the many faces of rest that she encounters through many intersecting disabilities evident within her work. Omikemi and Priya Mistry have a conversation in a podcast form about healing, care, and sustainable working practices. Kulikoli offers an insight into her work as a poet. We'll hear new songs from Miss Jackie that burn brightly. It is with meditation on this word Araam, I often ask myself if we, the Onyx Collective, ruled the world, didn't need to walk the walk or talk the talk, and we weren't marginalized, how would our art look, sound, or feel? This question seeks to explore and envision Onyx as a space with choices where one can set down one's burdens or seek healing from them. Rest may seem counterintuitive for many artists, and indeed as an ADHD, I am often told to calm down or let my mind relax. I was once told by a spiritually learned individual I had created a painting for that an artist can never achieve spiritual salvation because their mind and soul are in a constant state of searching. I'm not sure what the comment was meant to achieve, as there was little chance of me downing my paintbrush and devoting my life to religion. What I did object to, particularly, was the narrow definition of salvation and how to achieve it. The definition was exclusive and unprepared to accept people as they are. This idea of a distorted view of salvation is reminiscent of sections of the art world which remain wedded to both racist and ableist ideals. Ideas that see a binary when it comes to diversity, forcing people to choose one protected characteristic or another, but never both. Araam is therefore not laying down and calming oneself into a stupor, nor is it submitting to someone else's rules, but instead creating an environment that allows one to function as they naturally are. Throughout my life, rest has evolved and become a puzzle that I need to work out in order to survive. I remember waking up on the first morning of my first school holiday, and as I came down the stairs, I saw my dad sat on the living room floor slicing into a large dark green watermelon. I crouched down in front of him and I tried to get him to look me in the eye as I asked him in Gujarati if school had in fact ended. He was, of course, concentrating on making sure he didn't chop off one of his fingers, but I made him answer because rest from school was all of my dreams come true. The joy when he confirmed that we didn't have to return to school was overwhelming. Since that day, watermelon has filled me with a feeling of relief and joy. Moving on through life, rest has become contradictory and at times a conundrum. An example is the situation freelancers face when either they or a family member is recuperating from ill health. There is a constant urge to get back to work even when the situation does not permit it, because as a freelancer, if one doesn't work, one can't feed themselves. Even when one can work, opportunity is never forthcoming, and sometimes this can result from discriminatory practices. The act and idea of creative labour is so distorted within the arts that many global majority disabled neurodivergent artists, myself included, speak of family and friends, remarking that art is a nice hobby. In the survival of the fittest rat race is making art rest from working a so-called proper job. I've often asked myself this because, let's face it, most emigrants or immigrants have always been lured across the Galapani, forbidden dark water, to be busy and productive. For many migrant workers, becoming disabled was the only time they got rest. However, in the same breath, they were marked by the rest of the community as useless. It's this myopic attitude that has held many disabled creatives from global majority backgrounds back, or forced people to conform to ideas that what we do is not art, or that the creative sector is not for us. For this reason, disabled artists from migrant heritage backgrounds should see rest as a radical act that makes space unapologetically.